Hey, hello, everybody. Hello, my lovely ladies, and welcome to Confessions of a Pretty Hot Chick, where it's all about us digging in deep and coming up with the greatest jewels that we can find so we can be the best that we can be. And it's all about support and having fun and being real about it. So, we have a special guest today, Shayla and I. Shay, what's up, girl?
What's up? Glad to be here.
Shay, my investigative professional. How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I love that shirt.
Thank you. I am Black History.
The fit stuff, yay! We're gonna have some fun tonight, and this is our first episode where you can actually see us and not just hear us. So I have my lovely sister Shayla, my road dog, my cohort, and next our cousin Gigi, who is in law enforcement and education. Welcome, Gigi, to Confessions.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me today, ladies.
Yes. So we're going to have some fun. Now, let's kick this off. We want to talk about toxic thoughts. Now, this is a really near and dear to my heart because I talk a lot with my clients about how to reframe toxic thoughts. So, the first thing we're going to do is talk about toxic thoughts as it relates to us, whether it's in a relationship, personal development, or our professional lives. That's one. Two, then we're going to talk about how these toxic thoughts manifest themselves in our daily lives. Then the last part of this is we're going to reframe the toxic thoughts and talk about how to break the cycle. But the first thing, and you know how Shayla and I do, we go into our little personal confessions. So I'm going to kick this off. Toxic thoughts, and I'll give you two examples. Example number one. Now, ladies, we all go through this in terms of relationships. You think that you love this person and you think like, okay, I can change this MF, right? I can change him. My love is just going to bring him close to me and change him. I say that's a disease because it's something that has infected us all. Well, again, we fall in love with someone and we think our love and who we are is going to change them. Well, guess what? It's rooted in that toxic thought that you think you can change someone. Now, we all know that there is no way we can change anybody. Now, the only thing we can do is guide, help, give constructive criticism, but it's really up to the individual. So my confession is there was someone that I was really feeling, and I'm thinking like, you know what? I'll forgive this about him. I'll tolerate that about him because I thought because of my sweet nature, he was going to be even sweeter to me. That sounds like one of my favorite songs. What's that song? Anyway, I digress. Exactly. So I erroneously thought, and we were together for a few years, I erroneously thought that he was going to be sweeter to me because I was so sweet to him. So it was a rude awakening. So you cannot please everybody. And that was the toxic thought. I thought I had to be super sweet. The sweeter I got, or the more tolerant I was, that he would just go, oh my God, I should be this way. I should be more caring. I should be more emotionally mature. Not at all. So that was a tough lesson for me to learn. So that's mine, my personal one. Shay, what's yours?
Ooh, not feeling good enough.
Ooh.
I always get to this space where I'm like, I don't feel good enough. And that leads me to settle. I
Mm.
have settled in relationships knowing good and well I knew this wasn't going to last. I knew it wasn't what it's going to be. But I settled because I didn't hold out to what I felt like I was worth, you know.
Mm.
Um, and then the flip side to that, it makes me end up being superwoman. So I end up doing way too much to try to
Mm.
prove myself, right? When that person doesn't have to do anything to prove anything to me. And that's led to me ending up sabotaging some relationships to get out of it. We'll talk about that on another date.
Yes.
Doing to get out of that, right? I got out of it. Got out of every single one. And you know, today I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I got out of these relationships. I do not regret it. I don't.
Yes, Lord.
Anyway, that's another day. But not feeling good enough. And I am still working on that because I still get back to that space and I have to realize it and work on myself. So it's a constant, or I should say consistent work that I have to do with that thought because it always haunts me.
Oh Lord, Shay Shay, oh, oh my Lord, I so relate to that not feeling good enough, which goes back to what I was saying about thinking that my love was going to get him to be sweeter, when in actuality it wasn't going to happen. I needed to love myself more. Now, Gigi, I know you relate.
Little different though, because I had to always coming out of one job to the other jobs that I'm in. Men hate women who are in lead positions.
Yes.
So I would always have to go, okay, I can't overdo this or overthink this or be the head leader or be the one that has all the answers or, he's gonna be like, can I be the man? Can you let me lead? Can you let me? So I would find myself, trying to bring myself down
Oh,
to their level. Not saying they weren't up here, but why do I have to bring myself down for you to feel better about yourself? So
right.
that made me feel worse about myself, knowing that I'm like, okay, in order for old boy to be around and stick around and do this and do that, you have to make sure they're the biggest person in the room. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I will make myself, shine down a little bit, but I had to learn that no, my shine is my shine. They have to step to me ready and correct or don't step at all. But it did take a minute for me to go, okay, you're always the one being called. You're always the one doing this. You're always being called on. And they like, do you always have to be the one? Well, yeah, I do. Now, that I see it, the fact is you had to step up to be the one. So, yeah, that was mine, making my thoughts say, okay, I have to make myself less than for them to be able to feel like they're important.
Ooh,
Mm.
Yeah.
ooh, let me
Yeah.
testify to that, T.
Testify, Taylor, testify.
Because for real, you touched on something I'm also going through is feeling like you have to shrink yourself. Why do I have to shrink myself? I belong here. I'm just as good as you, probably even better, you know?
Correct.
Why do I have to shrink myself to make you feel good? And my shine is my shine, and if it blinds you, then it is what it is, you know?
That's right. You better put some sunglasses on.
Oh
Right.
my God,
'Cause I'm tired,
absolutely.
baby. I'm not being in nobody else's shade anymore, honey. Step up, and step over to the side.
Ooh, I like it.
Exactly, exactly. And see, when I think about how that's a clear example of how these thoughts kind of manifest in our daily life, because we think that we have to people please, and now that's a boundary issue now, because now we're having to make ourselves feel smaller or kind of shrink in a way, as Gigi was saying, to make others feel accepted, to make them feel they're okay, because at the end of the day, they're not comfortable in who they are, to feel any kind of threat from someone like you, Gigi, or Shayla, or even myself. So that's another way of how toxic thoughts kind of manifest in daily life. When we're people pleasing, when we're shrinking our crown, when we're comparing ourselves to someone else, also when we're kind of over generalizing things. For example, assuming that one experience means a lifetime of failure,
Ooh, okay.
right?
Mm.
Right? Right.
Yes, I'm gonna pause right there because I was like, ooh, I felt that from y'all. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. For example, I remember going back to my first speaking engagement, and I didn't know. I kept talking and I didn't realize how to pause in between, just kind of take my time with it. And I thought, oh my God, I did so horrible in this. This is going to be terrible. I'm not going to be a good public speaker. That's overgeneralizing and catastrophizing. So that's one way how that negative thought of me constantly doubting myself, thinking like just because, the first time I was a little nervous and talked a little bit too much, was speaking a little too quickly as opposed to taking my time. So these are how the thoughts kind of manifest in daily lives. One, avoidance, boundary issues, overgeneralizing like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. I'm going to always be terrible at this. As well as limiting beliefs, making assumptions like I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. And of course, one of my constant favorites that I hear from clients are I always mess things up. or I'm never going to be successful, or I'm never going to find a good man.
Nobody cares about me. I don't deserve happiness. Yeah. But
Yeah,
people help put those thoughts in people's mind and they don't even realize it.
not at all. Not at
Yeah.
all. And I'll share this with you guys. And this came from my mother, and she doesn't realize. It's funny how people don't realize how they're traumatizing their loved ones. So every time I would fly back home from the time I left, which was around what, 18, 19 years old when I left Detroit, she would, every time she saw me, right, instead of like, hello, daughter, how are you, right? It was, you're not getting enough sleep. Look at those bags. So I felt self-conscious, like, well, damn, I have to always look, well rested or look to what you think is good. So that made me think, like, wow, I just didn't feel attractive enough unless I got good sleep and, everything was perfect.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to be very mindful in the words that we speak to ourselves, that internal dialogue, because we don't realize that we're re-traumatizing ourselves with the words. Either I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm afraid to do this, I won't be good, or this individual, I like this individual, but in order for me to keep him, I may have to tone down my shine so that he feels like the man. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because those thoughts lead to harmful behaviors and cause us to withdraw from family and friends and loved ones and settings and outings and, you know, leaving us to always, like you say, self-sabotage, making us have unhealthy, coping mechanisms to be able to make it through a day. And sometimes people end up harming themselves, which is sad in itself when people don't realize that the things that you put into people's existence before them can cause them to make them not want to exist anymore. So those thoughts that people start framing, they have to really be careful and make sure they're recognizing the company that they keep and the language that they're using. If it's always something that seems like it's negative, then you have to say, is it me or is it you? And learn to stop saying, why am I saying checking myself? Maybe you should be checking yourself. And start asking them, are you okay? Are you having a good day? Do you need to talk? When people always ask you that all the time, you have to start thinking sometimes that they want to hear negative information because they're in a negative place themselves. And if your friendship or your relationship for your people cannot get them out of that space, then that's not a space for you. Whatever happens to, ooh, hello, lovely lady, hello, gentleman, hello, king, hello, queen, how handsome, how beautiful. Why is it always, what's wrong with you? Why you look like that? What's wrong with your face? Where I work in education, I always tell everybody, can I see a smile? Can I have a smile today? You know, give them something else to guide them to be a conversation piece to make somebody want to smile instead of always jumping in on right away, because that can change a person's day more than you even know with just giving them a smile.
That is so true, Gigi.
Yeah,
I
and
always
I'm
say,
learning to be more intentional with my space too. Like it's not for
yes.
me to make sure I'm being treated right and then I'm treating myself
Right.
right too, right? So there's days where I may have put my lipstick on and I smeared it and it's not perfect, and I'll dare someone to say something about it, like forget you, like I'll say the other word, but it's like yeah, it's crooked, and I'm getting to that space now, like yeah, whatever. And it is what it is. Yeah, you see these bags on my eyes, and
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, um, and I know it may come off, defensive, but what I'm doing is taking up for myself. So I don't get in that headspace where I shrink and I, shut down because, you know, I don't agree with you're saying, and I'm gonna let you know, like, look, what you doing? Like, I don't have to be perfect. And even when I have those thoughts of not feeling good enough, I have to kind of be cynical with myself and say, do you have to even be good enough? Do you even have to be good enough right now? Like, isn't it okay for you to not be perfect? How come I can't be perfect right now? you know? And then when I talk to myself like that, I end up feeling better. That it works for me versus, doing an affirmation to say, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, repeated over and over and over again. That has not worked for me. What works for me is to ask myself, why do you, how come you can't give yourself permission to not be good enough? How come you can't give yourself permission to be imperfect? And then I'm like, you know what? I don't have to be perfect. So,
You right. Like I tell people, I won't let you diminish me to what you want to be or what you think. You're trying to diminish me of what you think of yourself. So no, I'm not getting ready to do that. I look in the mirror and go, do you like what you have on? Do you like the way you look? Do you like the way this goes together? The way you flowing this morning? Then that's all that matters. Anybody else that wants to come in and harm that and diminish that, you have to tell them, I'm sorry, not today. You got to move on. I had to learn that, like, not today. You got to move on because working with so many different people and personalities, they come in and they want to bring their whole sense of everything that they have going on in their life and plant it at your feet and expect you to be in that same space with them. And I go, hold on.
absolutely.
Let's try. Even with adults, I have to tell them in education, I need you to take a minute from me for a second. Regroup. Let's think this out. Because your energy came from somewhere else before you walked in this door with me today. And I'm not going to let my energy be like your energy because we'll never get anywhere. So you have to sometimes put your foot down and say, I'm standing on my word. I'm standing on what I mean. And this is what it's going to be. And we said, mindfully. And either you ready or you not. Because when we allow them to come in negatively, it diminishes us for the rest of the day. Like you said, you have to be mindful of who you let in your space. I have to be mindful when I'm talking to people, parents, that this is how this is about to go. This is the direction it needs to go in. And if you're not ready for the conversation we're about to have, today is not that day. Let's regroup and figure this out for another day. Because, if you don't get them the agenda, just like in a relationship, if you don't tell them your boundaries, your triggers,
Your non-negotiables.
your non-negotiables, that's right, your non-negotiables, then you open up the door for whatever. And you can never hold somebody in any situation accountable for something you didn't tell them about in the beginning.
I'm
And
so
people
happy.
won't even, you could be looking good, baby, and they won't say anything, but you got a booger in your nose. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to you. But when you looking good, it's like, or they
Right.
got bags under your eyes, or they're trying to find something about you, but won't even tell you you got that booger in your nose. I don't get it.
Girl,
Oh my
girl.
God.
I be quick to
So
put,
agree
hey
with
sis,
that.
come on, let's fix this. Come on, sis, let's
Exactly.
go do this. They just like to leave you hanging because they want to see you not succeed in whatever it may be for the day. And I had to just learn that their insecurities are not my issues. Their urgencies are not my emergencies.
Absolutely.
That
I
I'm
don't
so
have to
happy
babysit
that you
those
guys
emotions.
said that because one of the things that I lead by, and Shayla, you're so right. Everything doesn't work for everybody. You have to figure out on your own what works for you. And the one thing in terms of mindfulness that I always think about, lead with first thing in the morning is I'm mindful of who I let in my space in terms of my spirit. Like, which part of Alicia today am I going to allow in my space? Am I going to allow the one that may not feel like being bothered with people because she's going through her own stuff at the moment and she's just not quite ready to deal with the public? Am I going to let her in my space? Or am I going to let the Alicia in my space where it's cool? I give you permission to not necessarily be in a great mood today. However, we're going to get through the day one moment, 1 hour at a time. And just being honoring the mood that I'm in at that moment, but making sure, mindful that I don't let it seep onto anybody else. And that is a little tricky at times because there will be that one person, for example, like my mother one particular day, that will say, "Hey, you didn't get any sleep." But I live by the rule. One of the rules I live by: people tell me who they are by how they feel and what they say about me. So I know that isn't about me. So I love that you said that about giving permission, giving yourself permission to be in the space that you're going to be in. And it's okay to not be perfect because number one, there's no such thing as being perfect. It
Correct.
doesn't exist. And it took me a
And what is the
minute to get
measurement of
over
good
that.
enough, right?
Yeah.
What
Right.
is the
Yeah.
measurement of good enough?
Yes.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. Oh my
It's
God.
it's not like a Kool-Aid when you say, does this taste good enough? You know, is this flavor good enough? No, a human being, you cannot say a human being has to be good enough. No, you have to be good enough for yourself. You have to love yourself. And
Absolutely.
we have to know that we have to now understand that you have to take people for who they are. Like you start off with, you can't change anybody. You
Hmm.
meet people where they are, and if you accepting what they're doing now, then that's on you. You can't change it and go back, like you said, and they're like, well, you've been letting me do this. Now you want to change it? Then you have to start thinking for yourself, like, wow, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? So it's all about what you're looking for within yourself to make sure you're picking the right people to be around. And that's the first thing people got to be mindful of. You got to observe your own thoughts, like you just said, without your own judgment, to be
Hmm.
okay to be you. Like you said, give yourself permission, but it's okay to be you. It's okay for me to have a bad day and tell somebody, I need a moment.
Yes.
I'm gonna do what you. I need
Absolutely.
a moment, and you tell people willingly, I need a moment. Give me a second. I'll get back to you. It is okay to say that and not have all the answers right then and there.
Exactly.
So,
We also have to meet ourselves where we are.
correct,
Right?
correct, correct.
Always.
Yes,
Always.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
But you guys are listening to Confessions of a Pretty Hot Chick. We have been talking about how toxic thoughts manifest in our daily lives, and it's so important that we address and are mindful and aware of how these thoughts show up. For example, I know for me sometimes it'll show up where I may wake up and just not be in a great mood. It may take me an extra 5 minutes to get out of bed. And when I think about it and I meditate, I realize that it was something the day before where it triggered something. And now it has started off my day. And before I can do anything, before I can speak to anybody, hell, before I can look in the mirror, I have to stop for a moment and ask myself, one, why am I feeling this way? What has led me to this living in this negative thought? What can I do to, if I can't get rid of it, what can I do to reframe it so that now I could get out of bed, I could feel okay with being me? How do I do that? And one way to do that, again, being transparent. If I just don't feel like being bothered with someone because I had a somewhat of a crappy day the day before, then it's, you know what, Alicia, that was yesterday. Today, it's okay if you want to step back for a minute and be a little quiet and be to yourself. That's fine. But let's not live in it all day, especially when you're dealing with the public, because it is what it is. We deal with different personalities, and not everyone is accountable for their own BS. So sometimes it can be a little difficult, but I always stand by and I tell people, first and foremost, ask yourself, why are you feeling this way? First, identify the feeling and then ask what led you to feel this way. And remember, these thoughts come out in different ways. They manifest in different ways in our lives. They manifest in maybe you feeling like you just don't feel like getting out of bed. Maybe you feel like, you know what, I have nothing to wear. Oh my God, and I have to do this meeting. I don't think I'm going to look good. The moment you say that, you introduce all this negativity that's just going to continue to have this avalanche effect where it's just going to get worse as the day goes on. But if we embrace it and go, you know what? I'm not in a great mood and that's fine. My mood will get better. And if it doesn't, that's cool. But I'm just going to take it one moment at a time, 1 hour at a time. Acknowledge, give myself a little hug, and just keep it moving. But making sure that that negative thought that comes through my mind, whether it's I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm going to F up today, whatever that negative thought, we identify it and now go, I am good enough. I may not just be feeling it right now, but I'm good enough. If I make a mistake, cool, I'm going to keep it moving. If someone says something and I may not feel like a smile, I'll just say, well, have a nice day. And let that be that. But first and
That's
foremost,
right.
I'm going to hug me. Right, Gigi?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. You got to identify what thought is making you feel that way so you can correct it for yourself so you can have peace of mind. Because once you let that thought in and it takes over, you never know how you might lash out at others and what space it might leave you in, or how much damage you can do, not just for yourself, but for the others around you at that same time. Like I try to teach everybody that, that's with me sometimes at work. Stop and think about, do unto others as you want others to do unto you. So start with yourself first before you try to pick apart somebody else.
There it is, because we make not too good decisions if we're coming from a place of toxicity. So we have to make sure that we're asking ourselves, and we'll asking ourselves the right questions, meaning, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? And what can I do to be in a space where I'm not going to harm myself or anyone else? Because when we have this self-defeating dialogue, what happens is it erodes our confidence. It keeps us stuck. It keeps us feeling like we can't move. It's like we're in this quicksand. We can't get out of it. It also creates these mental barriers where it prevents us from pursuing our goals and from being our fantastic, fabulous self.
Oh,
Have
come
to be
on.
mindful,
Yes.
right?
That's right. That's right.
Yes, and I love
That's
what
right.
Shayla said earlier, not settling,
Right.
not
That's
settling,
right.
right?
That's
And
right.
also not living in the toxic thought. You know how many
Yeah.
people are walking around living in the toxic thought? Gigi, you pointed out when we were at the event that we had in Harlem, and there was a woman who was clearly uncomfortable with her smile, right? And you can tell because she always covered her smile. Now, there's obviously certain thoughts running through her head because of that. Now, there are things that, let's face it, we all want to present our best selves. And we have this idea of what that is. And a lot of that is encouraged through our upbringing, media, our own conditioning, our own biases. And I know it's difficult sometimes to just look in the mirror and accept something that society may tell you is not beautiful. So, what can we do, ladies, when we look in the mirror and we have that, and what we see may not coincide with the biases in our head, with that inner dialogue, nor the media or what our upbringing has taught us? How do you ladies handle that? I love this.
It's for,
Ooh, oof.
for me, I guess, growing up, I'm gonna even take it so far back. Growing up, going to Catholic school, being a blessed, well endowed young lady at a young age of a chocolate complexion,
Yes.
I was always looked upon as different. So I had to learn to go, well, you look this way, you look this way, you look this way, I look this way. But not only did I look a little different, because we went to Catholic school, it was a mixed, little melting pot. But my body structure was different. And that brought thoughts from boys one way, but it brought thoughts from girls another way.
How is it different?
Because of the fact that the boys was like, ooh wee, and the girls was like,
You had that T in it.
girl, you had that DNA at a young age, and they like, she thinks she this, she thinks she that. So growing up, you going, well, what you mean? Well, what did I do? So back in the day, now you think about it, back in the day, which is still, and TT gets on me about it all the time. Now, I mean, I'm sorry, Alicia. I even at work where I work at now, I cover up. I'm out with a baggy shirt, long shirt, jacket, sweater, and everybody's always like, girl, you got it, you better use it. But growing up through time, you were always taught, if the top is out, the bottom is not. If the bottom is out, the top is not. You got to cover up and be a young lady. You learn it in church. When you sit down, you got to put the napkin, you got to put the lace over your legs, just in case your skirt is a little bit too short for your stocking to show. That is something that people instill in you then a certain way, but also it led to me going, oh, something about me might not be right, because they always want me to cover up. I had to learn to reframe my own thoughts to go, there's nothing wrong with the way I look. I just have to be careful with the way I use it. Because it can, it's a shame that it's a stereotype. She a S, she a H, she doing too much. And, you have to start telling people, no, I'm sorry, you're not doing enough. Stop letting the thoughts of, and this was from back then, because not everybody got the TNA, so it don't really make too much of a difference now. But then it was always looked upon as negative, and it made me feel like, oh, I ain't supposed to have all this. Like, well, why do I got all this? If everybody don't got what I got, then is something wrong with me for me to have all this extra? Why I got the extra? Take the extra away. You know what I'm saying? But I had to learn, like, you were created the way you was recreated from a young age on up, and it's not a curse. You were just made different at that time that everybody else wasn't made that way, but now everybody else is spending money to be made a certain way. So the way people told me I was looking then was different. People are not trying to look that way now, so it's just flipped. Within everybody's mindset. Oh, it wasn't right then, and now it's not right if you don't have it now. So it just went from one way to another, and it's because of society was like, oh, you gotta have this, and this to still be up here. But you don't. You just gotta love what you have to be where you need to be. But it did take a toll on me, like we were saying, to be a little bit different growing up, always being the one that had the, some front and a whole lot of back. Always had to wear, because we wore skirts and stuff to school. Have to wear shorts up under because somebody trying to run by and, flip your skirt up so they can see, you know what I'm saying? So it put me in the mindset first when I was younger, like, dang, I don't want to be like this. Because it causes too much negative attention is what it was, the way I was looking at it, you know what I'm saying? So as I grew older, still now, I make sure I still dress a certain type of way just to make sure I'm appropriate. Even though you're supposed to in certain areas where some people be like, I don't care what nobody think, I'm gonna just do whatever. And sometimes I go, it doesn't take all that. But that comes from me carrying that baggage from then still to now, like, don't let it all hang out because you're not supposed to, because you weren't supposed to be made like that no way. You know what I'm saying? If that, so it just took me a little time to go, it's okay to be who you are, and you were just created this way.
So that's how you
I was thinking
reframed
about
it.
my booty
That's
too.
right. So Gigi, but that's
You
how
like
you
how you gonna
reframed
tease
it.
about your booty? I was.
I love it. I love it. But Gigi, that's how you reframed the thought. You reframed it by saying, I'm okay with who I am. I'm okay with what I look like. So you reframed it in terms of acceptance. This is who I
Yes,
am, and I'm okay with it, right?
yes.
Absolutely.
And it took a minute because, growing up in high school,
No, of course. It takes work.
a minute. It took some work to go, ain't nothing wrong with you, girl. Not like I was beating myself up, and I'm like, what's the big deal? You know what I'm saying? Why is it such a big deal that y'all feel like
Right.
they put you in this little category over here like, oh, she cool, she smart, she cute, but and I'm like, you have to look back at some of the people nowadays and go, thank you, I appreciate you, because that made me stronger to be who I am today, to help others out along the way, to say it's okay to be who you are and accept yourself for who you are and love yourself.
Absolutely. And this is not, I mean, this journey of getting to where we're comfortable and we're loving ourselves and it's all about being fabulous. It takes time. This is not something happening in 24 hours, 48 hours, or even a year. It takes time, and you have to do the work. Shay Shay, you were going to say something, please.
That
How
I
do
was
you
thinking
frame
about
it?
my booty too.
Yes, your booty too, girl.
Yes, I was. But I actually, in college, I mean, I had a lot of girls who did not like, the booty, unless they had a booty too, right? But I remember I had a roommate that said, you eat a lot of fries. I'm gonna start eating French fries so I can have a booty like you. So,
Oh,
I mean, yeah, she teased me, but here she is trying to eat what I eat so she can have a booty too.
And if they only knew all this junk in this trunk, way on these knees and this back, girl, boom.
But at the time, I didn't think that she was teasing me because she
Love.
wanted that too. I was like you said, Regina, Gigi, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought
Right.
I was awkward and everything,
Right.
but and I still am, but I love my awkwardness. My awkwardness is all of me, and I embrace it. And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
yeah.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, accepting us for who we are. Yes. And let me just throw this in because y'all know how I do. One of the things that, in terms of accepting, I finally had to accept after a number of years that I was always going to be in the small titty community. And that's okay.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Yay!
Right? And let me tell you, honestly, I fully accepted it when I got into my late 30s, early 40s. Isn't that something? It took that long for me to finally accept and be okay with being a part of the small titty community. And I love it.
Everything has its pros and cons.
Right. Right.
You can pop on tops and keep it going.
Girl, no
Just
bra.
make
Just keep it clicking. Let's
Yep.
go, hot team. Right.
You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right, yeah. Look, you ain't gonna have no back problems, that's for sure.
Good point. Love that. Good point. But I no longer
Look,
have those feelings of inadequacy or not feeling worthy because I didn't have, a C or D cup. So that's my whole point of bringing that up. So I no longer, there's no self doubt, there's no comparison. Where I remember I would look at girls in high school. Like, I'll never forget this one girl. We were the same size, right? Fifth grade, the same size. Came back in the sixth grade. I'm like, she went up a full cup and a half. I'm like, what did you do?
control.
I let guys fill me up. What? What?
what the hell?
Right? And I'm like, well, I don't think I want different dudes filling my.
On my mini me's.
Exactly. But just the crazy things we hear.
And parents used to tell you back in the day, you let them rub too hard, they gonna go away. You do too much, let them touch them too much, they not gonna be there. They told us all kind of stuff to make sure boys wasn't touching on us. Now you get a hickey, that meant you was gonna be pregnant. Remember that back in the
Right?
day?
Yes. Yes. I just said, you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yes, it's
But
all
it's
right.
right. But it's such a liberation to feel like, you know what? I'm okay. Going back to what Shayla was saying, going back to what you were saying, Gigi. When you get to that point where you fully accept yourself and it is okay, it is such a beautiful feeling. But you have to do the work. And that work, yes, it takes time. And sometimes it takes some affirmation. Sometimes it takes, as Shayla mentioned, giving yourself permission to not be okay in that moment. Giving yourself permission, like I did when I was, 19, 20 years old, like, oh, okay. But it's
Like
wonderful when
it's
you
okay.
do it.
Me and Shayna looking like, oh, one hand won't do.
And I love y'all.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all.
We can laugh at
So
ourselves.
that ain't even cool. You got me going, damn, wait a minute.
But Gigi, you embrace it,
No,
girl.
no, she can do a whole hand and get a whole good fill up job. Dang.
And I love touching them now. I'm just saying. But anyway, everybody, you're watching Confessions of a Pretty Hot Chick. We are having
Woo.
such a good time with
Oh my
this. I
gosh.
hope everyone is pulling out of this how these toxic thoughts that we have manifest in our daily lives and making sure that, okay, I can see how this is manifesting in my life and what this is doing. And that one of the leading things that happens when we are carrying these negative, these toxic thoughts is getting into these relationships for validation or out of loneliness, or you just feel like, you know what, I don't feel good about myself. So you attract someone who confirms that for you. So again, we have to be aware so that we don't allow those toxic thoughts to sabotage ourselves and our relationships. What thought that you utilized to reframe the negative thought? What was your aha moment? Shayla?
Reframe the thought.
Yes. What was your aha moment when you embraced that awkwardness?
That aha moment came, of course, later on, college done, all of that. And it didn't actually, let me be totally honest, that aha moment didn't come till like in my 40s.
Yeah, there it is.
And
Yeah.
I thought about that situation again because when it happened at the time, I was young. I didn't know any better. I was still trying to figure myself out, right? So I just shut down. But now, in my 40s, that aha moment came when I think I was watching a show and it kind of triggered that thought.
Yes.
And I'm like, dang, I remember feeling that way. I remember I had a friend that made me feel that way. And I was like, all this time, you made fun of me for something that you wanted. And it just kind of put me in a perspective that, like you said, Alicia, that was about her. That wasn't about me,
Yes.
right? That was about her. And that was that aha moment that, people will project on you something that they either want themselves or they feel like they lack, and she put that on me. And I was like, I don't babysit anybody's insecurities, block, 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 you know.
Yes.
Um, and I embraced, my body, and I'm like, dang, it's so funny because like you go up sizes, and I'm like, dang, when I was that size, I was the shit. And
Yes.
then another size later, you're like, damn, when I was that size, I was like, but it's
Yes.
like I need to be comfortable in the size I am now, right? And I am, but I had to realize that it's like, I that's why I like to kind of sit down and reflect on things, especially on my Sundays, to really think about like how far I've come, and I think that's very important to do. It's okay to go back and think about I overcame that, overcame that, overcame that,
Yes.
and it builds that confidence where you're like, okay, next time if I'm faced with this situation, I already know this person is projecting. This person is trying to shrink me. Now I have a choice. I could either let them shrink me or I could be like, no, I'm shining and move on.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Absolutely.
Right. Yep.
I love it. Yes. So now, how do we break the cycle? How do we break this cycle? Now we have to look at patterns of what those thoughts are. And I love when Shayla said to reflect. I guess that's one thing that I encourage in everyone to, at the end of the day, reflect on what happened that day. Reflect on what you could have done differently to have a different outcome. Reflect on what the feelings that you had and where those feelings originate. So it is so important to reflect. With that being said, how do we break the cycle? Because when we reframe thoughts, it's about shifting perspective. It's about challenging the negative narrative that we have that we keep repeating. And it's about replacing them with something more empowering, something more realistic, something that, and I read this somewhere years ago where the author said, when you challenge the thought, ask yourself, is this a fact? Is it a fact that I'm not good enough? What's the evidence of that? What's the evidence if I feel that I'm not smart enough? What's the evidence? And really look at it and break it down, because truly, what is the evidence that backs up the negative or the toxic thought? Where's the evidence? And we have to question it, because more often than not, it's coming from some sort of trauma that we've gone through, something that someone has said that we had made peace with. Where is it coming from? So we have to break the cycle by looking at it, investigating, questioning. Where's the evidence to support this thought? So I'm asking everyone listening, including ourselves, Let's first identify the toxic thought. Let's become aware of our inner dialogue and be honest about what we're feeling. Don't sugarcoat. Don't try to say, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this. No, I shouldn't be feeling this. No, feel it. Feel it all the way through, because that's where we have to go in and look, really dissect things, really investigate, because it starts with that inner dialogue. Shayla, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I said feel the fire.
Yes, feel the fire. Notice when you're being overly critical of yourself. Notice when you're assuming the worst without evidence. Notice when you're engaging in self-doubt, and ask yourself, what is this thought telling me? Would I say this to my sister, to my cousin, to my friend? Is this thought, again, based on fact, or is it fear? Right?
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second, let's challenge and reframe the thought, as Gigi has done, Shayla, as you've done, as I've done. Once we've identified the toxic thought and we challenge its validity by going, is this 100% true? Because most toxic thoughts that we have are exaggerated. Isn't that something? Distorted. Based on somebody else's stuff, or based on a fear that we have. What evidence do I have to support or contradict this thought? Beauty comes in all flavors, right? Just like ice cream. None of us on this call, well, when I used to eat ice cream, but all of us on this have not just one flavor we like, right? When I ate ice cream, it was strawberry, it was chocolate, it was vanilla, it was butter pecan. I didn't have just one favorite. Shayla, how many flavors of ice cream do you love?
Only two.
You know what? Point being is more than one, right?
Cause wait, I will always start with me some chocolate, baby. Some chocolate with some good nuts too, boo. Let's get it. Shit. I love me some chocolate, honey. Woo, mocha chocolate latte. Yeah.
I care with you, but Gigi, I know there's another flavor you like. I know.
I mean, I like French vanilla. I like butter pecan, but I'm gonna always go for the chocolate first, honey. Always.
Chocolate and vanilla. That's it.
Yeah, chocolate. Yeah, make
I
that
love
swirl. Make that swirl, girl.
right? I love chocolate. But the point is, in beauty, there are different flavors. There's not
Yeah.
just one.
Yeah.
Once we grasp that concept, then it's okay to go, you know what? I'm in a room with somebody, I'm in a room with other women, and I see a woman who's attractive. It is okay to say she's hot, she's beautiful, she's attractive, without feeling I'm not as pretty, or, oh, this person's going to get more attention. No, it's not about that. It's about
Yeah,
feeling good where you are and feeling so good about yourself, or feeling good enough about yourself where you're not threatened by anybody.
That's right. Reframe your own thoughts, but stop empowering other people's and start empowering yourself. With
Yeah.
another statement, you see people all the time giving other people compliments and empowering themselves and telling them you can do it, you can do it. The same thing and energy you put into somebody else, put that into yourself.
Yeah.
Journal what you need. Put yourself on your own pedestal. Don't wait for nobody else, cause can't nobody love you better than you can. So pour into yourself first. Reframe your own thoughts first. Align yourself with what you need first before you even think about trying to get somebody else something else or a piece of you. Take care of you first. Put your own stuff on your pedestal. Be your own black Barbie. Be your own black queen. Be your own black everything to yourself. And it's okay to be by yourself to do these things. You don't need nobody else to help validate you, because if they're validating something that you don't even believe in yourself, it's not helping you. You can't, people can always tell you one thing, but if you don't believe it yourself, you're still going to be triggering emotions within yourself and carrying baggage that you have not completed yet. So you got to work on you and do the work for you to be able to be in this space.
Yes.
Because everything else, and when you do it, like we say, somebody you trying to be with, a man keep telling you you beautiful, and you keep shooting him down, you're going to shoot him away. He can only help bring you so far if you don't want to bring yourself.
Exactly. And I want to piggyback off that, that when you feel good about yourself, men are very attracted to women that are confident with themselves, that are not threatened by anyone. And I'm not just speaking about a female. They're not threatened if the guy is busy doing something, he has his own life. She has her own. So it's very attractive. In fact, it is intoxicating to be with someone who is unapologetically who they are and
Hmm.
comfortable with who they are. However, it takes work to be that way because it takes time to go through our stuff. To go through our stuff, I got to say that again, so that we can get through to the nitty gritty, get to what's really bothering us, get to the issue. And then again, hug that little girl or hug that little boy and say, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. Regardless of whatever perceived flaw, I'm good enough. Because guess what? You were made uniquely beautiful. There's no other Shayla. There's no other Gigi. There's no other Alicia. And there is a profound beauty in that. When we look at it from that vantage point, that we're all made uniquely beautiful, we're all special in our own right. So once you wrap your brain around that, and again, you hug that little girl, that little boy who was traumatized by whomever, that's when the real work starts. And it is not easy. It is not easy. As Shayla said, it was in her 40s. For me, in my late 30s, early 40s. And there's still things that I'm learning. Gigi, I know there's still things that you're learning.
Absolutely.
Definitely, definitely, every day. You learn that people still are out here, as the little song say, they pray on your downfall. And you can't feed into that. You have to just keep pushing forward. It's always going to be naysayers behind you. And you just have to learn every day that you have more strength than you started with the day before. And you
Yes.
just keep walking and just go day by day. The load may get heavy, but it'll get light if you keep going and start dwelling some of that stuff out moment by moment. Just like they say, you have to clean out your closet. That's the same way with your baggage. We're holding on to it for what reason? Because we're worried or fearful of being great. You got to move on and grow from it.
Mm.
I'm not saying it's not gonna hurt. I'm not saying it might not resurface. You can't let it hold you back forever.
There it is. Absolutely. Gigi, I wanted to piggyback off of something you said about loving yourself. For those of us that have been blessed with people when we were in a very vulnerable place or space, and there was someone that loved you until you could love yourself. The one thing I learned going through therapy, there was someone, and I am eternally grateful for this woman, because this woman taught me how to be a woman in a space where I was confused and conflicted about how what a woman should be and could be. And it was her and my group who loved me until I could love myself. And that was the one of our anthems. It was, we're going to love you until you can love yourself. And this is what I want this platform to be, is us loving someone or people until they're able to love themselves, because it does take a village. And that's what I want this to be. So I also thank you guys in who I am today. With that being said, let's replace some of these negative thoughts with positive, empowering beliefs. Thought number one, here's an example. I'm not good enough for this job or for this individual. How do we reframe that?
I'm good enough.
Exactly. I am good enough, as well as I may not know everything yet, but I am capable of learning and growing in this role. I'm open to learning more, right? If I fail, everyone will judge me. How do we reframe it, Shayla? If I fail, everyone will judge me. How would you reframe that?
If I fail, everyone would judge me. How would I reframe it? You want what version you want?
I want my baby's authentic self.
um, Probably F them. They don't know anything either. I don't know. They don't know. I dare them say something today. I dare it. I dare it. Um,
I love that. I love
um, but no, seriously. Um, I would just go back to the quote that says, "You are who you need,"
that.
and that's how. Yeah, I would reframe that.
I love that. Thank you. Yes, yes. And to piggyback off that, um, another way to reframe that is failure is a part of success.
Okay.
Each setback teaches me something. Everything teaches us something. Everybody, every situation, obstacle teaches us something valuable. Question is, are we aware enough to see it?
Phil, you tell them I messed up this time. Don't do what I did. Let's figure it out and make it better.
I like that too. So they got three reframes. Yes.
Yeah. I messed this one up. I failed. Let's do it right the next time. What can we do to make it better? Let's move on. I mean, what? What they say, you can't cry over spilled milk. Only thing you can do is clean it up and get another one. That's
Yes.
all.
I love that. Yeah. Gigi, to piggyback off that, I can't handle this. Instead of I can't handle this, everything you just said, in addition to I've overcome challenges before, I can do this one too.
Yeah.
Right? I can't handle this. Two, I've overcome challenges before, I can do this. Right, everybody? I'm not good enough. I am worthy and capable. I'm worthy of love and respect. So, this is
That's all.
how we reframe those negatives into positive, more empowering beliefs. So, be kind to yourself. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, imagine you're speaking to that your little girl or your little boy. Imagine you're speaking to them. So you want to speak like a friend, like a loved one about their situation. Would you criticize them or would you encourage them? So imagine if we talk to ourselves with the same kindness, always choosing self-encouragement. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? Now, how do we shift this to action? What small step can we take moving forward from what we've been talking about for the last little over an hour? What small step can we take to move forward? And you guys have already said it.
Journaling, therapy,
Yeah.
group sessions like this, group
Yes.
speaking, everything we just did right now. It's only three of us. The world will be able to hear, but this is a group session right here. Small discussions,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Even people that put little words and stuff on their walls and in their mirrors and on their cars and little sticky notes. You know, you got to give yourself little small affirmations. Sometimes people have a ring on their finger that go, nope, not gonna let it. I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm not gonna let that thought come in because people like to challenge you. And you have to be able to seek out somebody else, a friend, a relative, a loved one, and say, "I pray with me. I need some guidance. I need some reassurance." You know, get your a big girl mantra like, "Oh nope, not today." You know, like how the Rocky song go or whatever. Get yourself a mantra and get yourself back up in your head like, "Woo, nope, not today. You're not gonna take me now today. I'm ready to stand 10 toes down." You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What's the old saying? Talk about it, be about it. Do that for yourself. Talk about it and be about it for yourself.
Well said, Gigi.
Like that.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw one more example out. Instead of thinking, I'm not good at this or I'm bad at this, let's shift it to, I can improve by practicing and having a conversation about it. Right? Just because we're not great at something doesn't mean that with practice we can't be better. But we have to face it and be honest.
Practice makes us better.
That's right.
Amen. Absolutely. And I so agree about using affirmations and being grateful for what you have now, for who you are now, for where you are now. Because
Yeah.
we're doing those daily affirmations and we're giving gratitude. What we're doing is rewiring the negative thinking patterns. So we have to be mindful. So I love that. There's a show, now that I think about it, Gabrielle Union, where she put the post-its on her mirror. I like that. I like that a lot. That was such a great practice. But also, I want to mention that practicing being thankful and gratitude, it shifts the focus away from what you feel is lacking. Right?
Yeah.
And if
And pour into ourselves as much as we want to pour into that man, that mate, that job. Put that same stuff, put that same work for yourself. Put it into you.
yes, exactly. And let's please limit the exposure to negativity.
Hey, that's right.
Surround with positivity. It is such a power in positivity. Some people think it's corny, but guess what? It works. Surrounding yourself with positivity, thinking positive.
And I will say, first thing in the morning when you're getting up, what you do, what you listen to, and what you allow to come into
Yes.
you when you start off is what can help set the tone for your day. So you have to be very careful and mindful what you listen to, what's on the radio.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't need the radio. Just pray on your way, or affirmations or thoughts or self thoughts, or give yourself the girl fight song or whatever in your head, because you can, I see people coming to work in school and they listen to all this rah rah negative, ga da la, dot dot, and they come in the door with it, and I'm like, we can't set that tone for the whole day. Now, come on, let's start over a little bit here. Let's. Yeah, no. See, Shay should be ready to go hard. Let's get it.
Right?
Yes, we can. Okay, I'm sorry.
But like and when I'm saying it, I'm saying this, the music that some people are listening to are harmful songs. Let me rephrase that.
Yes.
What I'm saying, not because you got some songs that'll get you upbeat, get you pumped. Not them songs. I'm talking about the harmful songs that make you just always be like, "Ugh." You gotta be careful what you do and what you listen to, so you don't be like that all day, because you take on that spirit within you with what you start your day with, and that's what you pour out into the world to other people. So you gotta watch what you pour into yourself so you can pour out the right stuff.
Yes. The junk, the noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny. I was just saying that to someone the other day. We were talking about Trump. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm so done. That's it. I've
We
had
did
enough.
say that it's enough. Enough
Yes.
is enough.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm done. No, we cannot go to sleep and have that weighing on our pretty what's going on
No.
in the world that
Not
we
this.
cannot control.
Not this pretty chocolate, honey.
There it is. There it is. Now,
Honey.
I love now in honor of Black History Month.
Yes.
Is there someone that name someone that was so inspiring for you, that motivated you? It could be an author, it could be an actress, it could be an athlete, it could be a congresswoman, it could be anyone. But who
Mm.
that you saw when you were a little girl and thought, wow, I can be just like her? Or now I see, because I see it, I can be it.
Mm.
Who was that one person you saw, you were like, wow, I admire her?
Do they have to be famous?
No.
Probably not.
My mother, rest her soul.
All right.
My mama was an amazing woman of grace, talent, and beauty. I had never seen a woman put on a pair of pumps with some jeans and a fancy top to get ready to go to the grocery store. Baby, do you hear me? She was doing that back in the day like never before. And that woman could, man, she was creative. She was inventive. She had an infectious smile that would light up a room and just steal your heart. So, my mama.
Yes, she did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she did, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes.
Um,
Yes. Doing it with grace. Yes.
for me, I don't know. It's a tie between Harriet Tubman
Mm.
because that's the baddest around.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And how she stood on that. I like that. But anyway. Yeah. Stood on business. And then Shirley Chisholm. When I
Okay.
think about Shirley Chisholm. I got teased because I wanted to come to school dressed like her and everything. They're like,
Oh,
"It's not book report day. What are you doing?" I didn't care. I still wanted to dress like Shirley Chisholm. That was so inspiring. Just at that time, it was so unheard of for a woman to run for president and all of that. So yeah, Shirley Chisholm and Harriet Tubman.
oh, good ones. Yes. Oh my God. It was so difficult for me. And like Shayla, it's a tie. But I'm like, oh my God, I can say five off the top of my head. But for the sake of time, I will say Hazel Scott, the pianist. She took no crap off anyone. She was a talent, a powerhouse, and unfortunately, we don't know a lot about her. There hasn't been a lot giving her her flowers, but she was so talented as a pianist, and she was smart. And she took no crap off anyone. So I loved her. Just talent, the glamour, the intelligence, the grace. And the other is Diane Carroll,
That's a
Oh,
good one. Yeah,
always
such
with
class.
elegance, class, talent. And she stood for civil rights, human rights. And again, she did it with glamour and such grace. It
mm,
just
Right.
so the pretty thought that I got from today, from this podcast, and Gigi, thank you for joining us.
hey,
What
hey,
I
hey! I am so happy I was invited. Woo! I'm coming back, baby. I'm coming back.
yes, yes. My pretty thought, my lesson from tonight is just the strength of three completely different women empowering each other and allowing each other into each other's spaces. And it feels so damn good to feel the love, to feel the support, to feel the sisterhood. And this is what true sisterhood is: three different women, three different looks, three different experiences, empowering each other. That's sisterhood.
Yes,
I love it.
me
Well,
too.
well,
Yes,
thank you for creating the
yeah,
space for this.
yes,
You know,
yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And Shay, yes, fist up. Yeah. I
Fight the
love.
powers that be.
Right.
we can.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, party, Gigi, parting thoughts, your pretty thought, what you learned from this before we call it a night.
It is okay to be you. It is okay to stand in your glory of you. Like TT said, it's only one you. And you must, as I said before, put yourself on the pedestal. Don't wait for nobody else to do it.
Amen.
I
All
agree.
day, every day.
That's right.
Say, Taylor.
Um, we are who we need. You are who you need, and trust the process of your evolution.
Amen.
Yes, yes. You guys have been listening to Confessions of a Pretty Hot Chick. And thank you guys for listening. I hope you got some pretty thoughts out of this. Please stay informed, but always, please detach from the craziness, because if you don't, you allow toxicity to live. Stay woke, stay aware.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ladies. I love
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Love you too. This has been amazing.
Check this out at fabulouslife.com, as well as on Spotify, iHeartRadio. There's more, another episode coming soon. Be well. Thank you.